What makes a redemption arc great? Because not every villain who becomes good is remembered. Some are forgotten instantly. Yet characters like Zuko, Jaime Lannister, Thorfinn, Vegeta, Endeavor, and A-Train stay with us for years. And I think that's because redemption isn't really about becoming a good person. It's about confronting the truth about yourself. The best redemption arcs aren't stories about heroes being born. They're stories about flawed people finally choosing to change. Let's start with Zuko. The genius of Zuko isn't that he becomes good. It's that he spends most of the story chasing something he doesn't actually want. He believes capturing Aang will restore his honor, earn his father's love, and finally make him happy. But every time he gets closer to that goal, he becomes more miserable. His redemption begins when he realizes the thing he's spent years pursuing is the very thing destroying him. That's why Zuko feels so real. Most people spend parts of their lives chasing things they think will complete them, only to realize they were running in the wrong direction all along. Zuko's story isn't about good versus evil. It's about identity. Then there's Jaime Lannister. And honestly, Jaime might have one of the most fascinating redemption arcs in fiction because it completely changes how the audience sees him. When we're first introduced to Jaime, he's arrogant, selfish, and willing to do terrible things to protect himself and his family. He's introduced as the villain, the Kingslayer, the man who pushed a child out of a window. But as the story unfolds, we slowly realize something important. Jaime isn't becoming a different person. We're discovering who he really was all along. The turning point comes when he reveals why he killed the Mad King. For years, people called him dishonorable. Yet the truth is, he sacrificed his reputation to save thousands of innocent lives. Jaime's redemption is unique because it isn't about changing from evil to good. It's about stripping away layers of pride, ego, and cynicism until the person underneath can finally emerge. His story reminds us that people are often more complicated than the labels we give them. Sometimes redemption isn't becoming someone new. It's becoming the person you should have been all along. Then there's Vegeta. What makes Vegeta brilliant is that he never fully changes. He's still proud, still arrogant, still competitive. His redemption isn't becoming a completely different person. It's learning that strength isn't measured by superiority. At the start of Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta believes power gives him value. Everyone exists beneath him. But over time, he learns that true strength comes from protecting others, rather than dominating them. His greatest moments aren't his victories. They're the moments he chooses his family over his pride. Vegeta teaches us that growth doesn't mean abandoning who you are. It means becoming a better version of yourself. Thorfinn might be the most realistic redemption arc ever written, because unlike most stories, Vinland Saga doesn't let him escape his past. He doesn't get forgiven. He doesn't perform one heroic act and suddenly become redeemed. Instead, he has to live with what he's done. Every person he killed, every mistake he made, every life he destroyed. That's what makes his journey so powerful. Redemption isn't a reward. It's a responsibility. His famous line, "I have no enemies," isn't weakness. It's the result of someone who's seen where hatred leads and refuses to continue that cycle. Thorfinn's redemption isn't about becoming a hero. It's about becoming someone who no longer creates victims. Then we have Endeavor, one of the most controversial redemption arcs in modern anime. What makes Endeavor so fascinating is that My Hero Academia never pretends saying sorry fixes everything. He was abusive. He hurt his family. He caused damage that can't simply disappear. And that's exactly why his redemption feels mature. The story understands something many redemption arcs ignore. Sometimes the people you've hurt don't forgive you. Sometimes they never will. Endeavor isn't trying to erase the past. He's trying to become better despite it. His story isn't about forgiveness. It's about accountability. A-Train from The Boys is completely different. Unlike Zuko or Thorfinn, A-Train knows he's doing the wrong thing for years. He chooses comfort, he chooses fame, he chooses self-preservation. Again and again. That's what makes him so human. Most people aren't evil. They're afraid. Afraid of losing status. Afraid of standing alone. A-Train's redemption begins when he finally starts choosing what's right, even when it costs him something. Not because he's suddenly become perfect, but because courage finally outweighs fear. And that's what all these characters have in common. They're not memorable because they became heroes. They're memorable because they face parts of themselves they didn't want to confront. Zuko teaches identity. Jaime teaches complexity. Vegeta teaches humility. Thorfinn teaches responsibility. Endeavor teaches accountability. A-Train teaches courage. The best redemption arcs aren't about becoming perfect. They're about accepting the truth. Looking at your flaws, your mistakes, your failures, and deciding that they won't define the rest of your life. That's why we love these characters. Because deep down, redemption stories aren't really about them. They're about us. About the belief that no matter how far we've fallen, we can still choose who we become next.